OneNation after CPL opening weekend, season 5. Andi Petrillo, Jordan Wilson with you. That was a marathon. Boom, boom. You almost forgot that. You almost did.
But I got nervous.
That's our handshake.
I forgot it. You looked at me like, don't you forget our handshake. Remember it.
You made me learn it. You better remember it. How was doing a marathon, a triple header, in the world of media on opening day Saturday?
I enjoyed it. I brought the ribs and
that was a rookie move.
So what was a rookie move about it? Because I had the garbage bag around the neck.
You did, but you had to improvise a little bit. So here's the thing. When you work in media, you suddenly start to think of...
And I brought floss.
Yeah, like things matter, right?
Okay.
Like you're tied to go stick
Whoa.
or like wearing some sort of bib. And there are certain foods that you can't eat. And oftentimes when you have a very long day and, food is provided, whatever, like I don't like, for example, I don't bite into things. So if there are wraps or sandwiches, well, especially with your lipstick, because if I bite into things, I got lipstick on my nose, I got lipstick on my chin. So you would have seen me on Saturday eating with a fork and knife, my sandwich. Yeah, that's right. I ate...
Sorry, hold on. Say that again. How did you eat your sandwich?
With a fork and knife.
Okay.
And I am not sorry about it because it kept my lipstick on my lips, not on my chin. And it also prevented, spillage and stuff on the chest. So you try to eat foods that don't require your hands, number one, or your face, getting in and making a mess of itself. You try to eat things with utensils. Scoopy, scoopy, nice, nice. And no sauces. You cannot have sauces.
Okay.
Especially red sauce.
Well, you didn't tell me this, and the ribs were delicious, by the way.
Sure, yeah. You didn't offer to share with anybody.
Well,
but okay.
I knew also you're particular as well, right?
Yes,
like
I am
about
particular.
your meat and
yeah, I am.
So I knew that, and nobody touching my ribs. Wifey made me those ribs. I ate every.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, but I was so nervous because I didn't want to take off the blazer. I had everything hooked up, so I just put the garbage bag. I thought that was responsible, but then I came in here always like, rookie. He's a rookie. Then I coughed on set, rookie. I said,
that's because you hacked up a bone on set.
The thing is, look, everything in my being, when Wheels was talking, I was like, don't cough. And then I started to tear up.
Yeah, I know.
And everything clenched. So I said, you know what? Just let this one out. Give this one to God.
It's the worst feeling. I had that happen to me, I think, last year. But see, here's another thing, and you will learn this. When the camera's off of you, so like, for example, when the camera comes on me, as if you're watching right now, I have a single. This is your moment to communicate with the producer. No, and you're like you got to make some sort of sign language. And then the producer and director are like, ooh, Jordo's in trouble. So maybe keep the single on Andi for a little bit, keep the shot on Wheels for a little bit. So you can have your moment of distress.
That's nice.
Figure it out, and then you come back. So
then what did I do about the sound, though, Trills? Like, so I'm hooked up. Do I cover it and then cough? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, sometimes you can cover it, and you have to like stifle it a little bit.
I just love how I look at you as the GOAT in the game, the media mogul, but you literally looked at me and just said, rookie. And I've been asking you, I'm like, hey, how do I pay my dues? Should I bring you coffee? Do I clean your car? Do I shine your shoes? But like straight on national television on air. Rookie. I was like, I love this. I was like, roast me nationally, roast me on opening
Wheels
weekend.
was the one who kept it professional. He kept talking. He was trying to get your analysis, but I was looking at Wheels like, stop it. He can't breathe. Anyways, it was fun.
It was a good time.
These are the things, you have to worry about different things as a player. When you're on air, to your point, you're all hooked up. You got your microphone, your earpiece. So yeah, you're like, I don't want to take my blazer off and drop my pants. Like going to the bathroom. Oh my goodness, right? You don't want to drop anything in the toilet.
You did tell me though, very early on to mute.
Mute, yeah.
And I do that.
Mute the mic all the time, but also when you go to the bathroom, you have to remember that you have your packs, your mic pack, your ear pack, all clipped onto your pants. You have to take them off. This may or may not have happened to me before where I have forgotten. So as a woman, I have the luxury of, I wear a bra. So I usually tell audio, hook everything onto my bra strap. So
that's nice.
I never have to worry about anything because it may or may not have happened.
So it happened.
Where I forgot my mic packs on my pants. You drop your pants to go to the bathroom and all you hear is bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh, baby.
Oh, no. So you
tell
always...
us when this happened. Just tell me the age. Tell me the time, age.
It may have even happened like last year or 2 years ago. Sometimes it happens, like you forget, and then you go so sheepishly to the audio person. And you're like, I'm so sorry. And the first question they always ask you is before or after you went to the bathroom, and you're like, before, right? Yeah. So
This is great. You're teaching me so much, and I'm learning through those lessons. But tell me about this weekend. We'll start with Atlético Ottawa and Halifax.
yeah, they
Wanderers.
kicked off our triple header. Didn't see a victory until the third game, right? Pacific beating Vancouver, that goal also coming late. And then on Sunday, Valor defeating York. So you had Halifax, Ottawa 1-1, and then you had the good Forge Cavalry 2-2. Forge still winless in the opening match of the season. Bananas. I mean, obviously it doesn't really matter when they've gone on to win 3 or 4 titles, but it was still a great game back and forth. We'll get into that in just a moment. But I have to say overall, and I know you're going to be like, oh, that's just like an easy answer.
No.
But it is so true. Like, this is season 5. This is a league that is still growing. This is a league that's still building. This is a league that's still trying to get attention, right? And, you know, I had the privilege of sitting down with Commissioner Mark Noonan beforehand, and he even acknowledged, right? Like, really they're putting a lot of emphasis as well on marketing, because that's how you also get people's attention. And I think it's been working so far, because I loved the fan base.
Yeah.
The fan base came out in every location that a game was being played. You could tell the fans had been waiting a long time, and they were ready.
And that's what you want. Play in front, as a player as well, that's what you want, playing in front of fans. Like, the worst time ever as a player was during COVID. I remember playing in Denmark, and the ball would go out, and they would hit the board, and it would echo in the stadium because there was no one there. Worst feeling ever. So having the fans come out and pop out, it's what we want to see. How did you feel about the Wanderers and how they played? Were you impressed?
I was very impressed, because they're called the Vaughan-derers for a reason. And I thought, you know, Patrice Geyser came out and said that he wanted his team to be an attacking team. He's come on over from Vaughan, Missouri. He's brought players with him as well from League One Ontario. And I love the message that he's preaching, is that we have a lot of talent in this country. And now we've created this ecosystem, this landscape, where there is a chance to move up. But he also wanted to be the catalyst of that. He's like, I've moved up as a manager, and now I want players to be rewarded for what they've been doing. And they came on, and they did not look out of place, right? Ferrazzo, Farron, you know, we also had like Noafarnzo, like getting the start, and they pushed, and they scored first. They scored in the 16th minute. Obviously, and he said this in his post-game conference as well, he goes, one thing we're going to learn is to have a short-term memory, because when Atletico scored, Ollie Bassett, it was in that extra time in the first half, right? So you got to play till the whistle goes. He's like, we couldn't let it go. Yeah. And he felt that his team still carried that goal with them into the second half. So growing pains.
Absolutely. A bit on Atlético Ottawa. I thought they looked a little bit how they looked last season. Not to say that's poorly. It worked for them in terms of defending. But also, for me, I'm looking at Salta when he played. They bought him. And Brian Wright, that just left, had 7 goals. Salta has to at least have that coming in. But Forge Cavalry game, let's get into that.
I loved it. I love the...
I loved it.
I did. I mean, I love the energy that Cavalry came out with. I think Bevan, I mean, I had mentioned in the pregame show, just briefly, like, we saw him scoring in the Canadian Championship. Like, he has the ability, and he came out and scored first. I'm like, I think he can do some things this year.
He's a nuisance, but he's talented.
Yeah.
He's on my top 3 list of, like, if I was still playing guys that I'd want to definitely just leave my foot into a tackle. He's that guy. And he knows why. But anyways.
Oh, no. So now they have Bevan and Escalante?
Yeah, so that's 1 and 2. Yeah, Escalante by far is 1, but Bevan 2. But I like what Tommy did. I think him playing Forge umpteen times, dozen times, he's learned. 2 things that happened with Cavalry that they did really well. They kept the ball. We saw in the goals like 1 minute and 28 seconds. They kept it, so they took the sting out of the game. And then they got the ball wide and isolated fullbacks. I think Tommy Wilden said, you know what, this is the year. At least this is the start of him being a mastermind for games and really finishing it. So I like this Cavalry. They impressed me.
Yeah, but Forge doesn't give up either, right? I mean, penalty kick Jordan Hamilton, because we were wondering how Bobby Smirniotis was going to handle some. And I always say this as a compliment, right? Because when you're strikers, like, you got an ego.
Got to score.
You have to score. And you have to have a certain kind of swagger and chip on your shoulder. Those aren't easy personalities to manage. Yeah. And he opted to go with Hamilton. He gets taken down the box. He gets the PK. He scores. You know, off you go. But Forge doesn't give up either. Yeah. There's a reason why they are who they are.
And that's something to say about Forge. On a day that you don't play your best, you still get a point to probably one of the best teams in the league. And you score 2 goals. Other teams in the league, you don't play your best, you don't score. So what do you think about Pacific Vancouver?
I can't blame either side for playing a hesitant game to start. Because when was Manny's goal? 86? Like, it was
late.
Yeah, it was late. By the way, the 2 players we see to be in the running for league MVP, Ollie Bassett, who's going to be joining us momentarily, and Manny Aparicio both get goals on opening day. But I can't blame them. I mean, even though you have some familiar faces on Vancouver, you're still like, what is this team?
Yeah.
Who is this team? And you do want to figure it out. And you're also playing at home, and you don't want to disappoint your home fans. So you're playing a little cautiously. And then Vancouver, obviously, it's just their first game together. So they're just figuring things out. I mean, that game was what I kind of expected it to be.
Pacific proved to me that they're a well-oiled machine, a team that is great defensively and have some key pieces. But I'm looking at a Mane and a Adonijah Reed, hopefully coming off the bench. Those two attacking players need to do numbers for this team because Manny is not going to score these wonder goals week in and week out, right? So it's getting your boy who's on the hot seat, Isan Angaro. He needs to get going. Again, it's game one. I remember my first game last season, I wasn't up to snuff. It probably took me game 3 where I felt like myself. No problem. But as a goal scorer, you start missing these chances. You just don't want that to be a habit.
That's what happened to New York. What happened to your boys? We feel like
you really want the transition.
You believe. I think we all kind of believe too that like York and Valor are going to fight for that 5th spot.
Yeah.
Maybe Wheels is the only one who's just out now giving it to Valor already. But I mean Valor. I mean they helped prove Wheels right at least in game 1.
Look, he messaged me and I just had nothing. I had nothing to stand on. I said, you know what, you're right. Well, you'll be right for a week. Look. Without any question, this is the year that York needs to get it right. They need to. Just because of the proximity where they are, the talent that they've had within the squad from the first season to now, you'd think, like, I'm not talking about championship, but at least coming into 3rd, 4th place and doing well and making a run. But, yeah, there was no life yesterday. And honestly, you've been checking on me. You have been probably the person outside my family that's checked on me the most in retirement. Like, Jordan, you okay? Are you okay, buddy? Everything good? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Yesterday was probably the first day at the kickoff where I was like, man, I miss footy. Because the sun was shining. I saw the York Lions Stadium. I said, man, this has been my sanctuary for 2 years. I love this place. And, like, maybe on days I didn't play the best, I came with passion. And I think that's what I was mostly disappointed with York yesterday. It's just like, it seemed very dead. There wasn't a pulse. There wasn't upbeat. But I want to talk about Valor quickly, is that it was nice to see O'Heen back, the Bison. It was nice seeing him just dashing through the midfield. He's always a joy to watch, pain to play against because he's so strong and mobile. But then, yeah, Novak as well, coming back from injury. You know what that's like, Trills, like ACL, coming back, what that is with your knee. Are you uncertain to score in your first game? It's a beautiful feeling. So, honestly, opening weekend did not disappoint.
It did not. So why don't we speak to one of the goal scorers from opening weekend?
Let's do it.
We have a special guest joining us now on OneNation. That would be Ollie Bassett of Atlético Ottawa. How you doing, Ollie?
Woo.
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate having you on. Hey, we had you on after the game on Saturday, opening weekend, CPL. You were a little bit tired in that game. Now you're looking nice and refreshed. You were talking about the heat. It's the first game. And how are the legs feeling now? Because, I mean, I know training camp, you're working hard, you're working out, but then when you finally get into that first game, I'm just wondering how the body's feeling, the conditioning's feeling after game 1.
Yeah, I don't feel too bad. I think I felt worse during the game. The last 15, 20 minutes was a bit of a shift in the first game of the season. But yeah, like I said, the weather was extremely warm, and I think we ran probably a little bit more than we've been used to in preseason. But I think overall now I'm feeling good. I've had a few days to kind of recover and stuff. So yeah, I'm not feeling too bad.
Well, it's the first game, Ollie, so you know that as much as you want to be pristine and keep the ball, it's just a bit frantic that first game. First couple of games are usually like that. But I thought overall you personally did really well. But talk to me. What do you think as a team you guys need to improve to remain champions or to be top of the table?
Yeah, I think looking back at the game and stuff from the weekend, I think there's a lot of things that we can get better at. I think last year we gelled quite quickly as a team, and ultimately we lost a lot of our key players from last year. Guys like Sissoko and Balu and Drew and Brian, just to name a few. But yeah, we brought in a lot of new guys. I think they're a bit younger this year, so I think it's going to be up to the guys that were here last year and ultimately know what it takes to win and how we want to play to kind of get them all on board and and tactically aware of, what they need to do during the game. So yeah, I think it's going to take time for us to kind of get into the full swing of things. But we'll continue working hard day in, day out, and hopefully by the end of the season, we'll be up there again.
You mentioned 3 key players for Atlético Ottawa last season. 2 being, for me, well-versed and have just played for so long, Sissoko and Becky. How much do you feel that the weight is on your shoulders to be a leader and to push this team forward this season?
Yeah, I think, it's important. I'm 25 now, so I'm not, super experienced, but, this is my 3rd season in the league. So I kind of know what it takes to get results and win football games in this league. So yeah, I think off the back of last year, I'm not really someone that, will vocally speak too much. I kind of just try and, lead by example in the way I play on the field instead of, trying to give, players all these instructions. So yeah, hopefully if I can just, try and stay consistent with my performances, then, I'll help, the younger guys around me kind of get to where they want to be too.
Ollie, everyone's different in what motivates them, but I am curious to know if you look back on last year and see how close you were to being league champions. You were the regular season champions. You make it all the way to the final. Do you look back on that, use that as motivation, or do you opt to forget it and you just want to, wipe it clean and it's a brand new year? I'm just curious to know what exactly motivates you this year.
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I think, seeing, firstly, how many people turned out for the final. I think that's something that could, definitely be used as motivation. Playing in front of 15, 16,000, that's not something that you get to do every week. So in terms of that, yes, definitely. But yeah, I think like you said, it's a new season. I actually think that not just us, but other teams in the league, I think it's going to be a lot closer this year. I don't believe there's going to be, 1 or 2 teams that run away with it. I think the competition and the improvements that other teams have made is certainly going to be a lot closer. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more competitive this year. And yeah, we just kind of need to focus on ourselves and make sure that, we're in the mix come the end of the season.
Ollie, you're putting some pundits in their place because there is a firm belief that Forge is going to run away with this. I mean, do you see them as the team that is the one to beat, or are you standing by what you just said and you're like, nah, there's like way more teams that are going to make this competitive?
No, I think overall Forge are probably the favourites if you look at the last few years and stuff like that. I think they have a very good squad. They've kept a lot of their core guys together. But no, I do think that even just from watching the opening weekend, I think the way Halifax kind of played against us, they're going to be a different team to last year. And then Valor played well against York. So no, I do believe that it's going to be more competitive. There's an extra team that makes the playoffs this season. So yeah, I think overall the standard of the league, I think will take a step forward this year for sure.
You had a few weeks with Liga MX side, Atlético San Luis. Tell me a bit about what that meant to you and also just that itch to maybe play in a different league. Is that something that you're looking forward to after this season, or you have a goal to maybe play elsewhere? Just talk to me a bit about that experience.
Yeah, I think it was important for me, especially I think I've always said that I've kind of wanted to try and take my game to the next level, wherever that may be. And I think to get the chance to go there and train with them types of players that are playing in the Mexican league was important to kind of see what it takes and the small details that it takes to get there. So yeah, I think individually, I've always tried to aspire to play as high as possible. And then yeah, I think hopefully that can happen someday. But I know that it's important for me to do well this year and prove that last year, wasn't a fluke.
Ollie, I've watched you play. I've played against you. I respect your game. I always say that you're maybe like 2 passes ahead. Tell us an area you want to improve or you feel like needs to be better this season for you individually, for Atlético Ottawa to be a powerhouse.
I think there's a few. I think defensively, when we defend with a midfield too, I think I could be a little bit better. I think last year, when we defended with 3, I had Sissoko behind me. So I was always kind of confident that if we gave the ball away, or if, we made a mistake higher up the pitch, that someone like that would be behind us to kind of clear things up. But, I think we defended 4-4-2 on the weekend, and I think I need to be a little bit better when I defend in a 2 and not leaving so much space for teams to play through us. And then kind of in possession, it's just kind of about trying to do the same as last year and maybe calming the game down a little bit more when things were a little bit frantic. Trying to keep the team in possession a little bit more if we've been defending for long periods of time. So, yeah, I think them 2 things are important, and hopefully that will help take my game to another level.
Ollie, I just want to go back a little bit, too, on that stint that you had with the Liga MX side, because Atlético Ottawa, as we know, a lot of it has to do with affiliation and having those connections and being able, as a player, to use that to your advantage and those opportunities. And we know the CPL is a league that wants to establish connections, that wants to see players move on. So how important do you think that is as a league overall? And in particular, is that a draw for players to want to play with Atlético Ottawa when you know that options are available?
Yeah, for sure. I think any player with kind of ambition and goals to reach the next level, if any team in that league can, provide you with them opportunities, then I think that, instantly that becomes kind of an attractive destination for any player, not just myself. But yeah, I think personally that was, one of the reasons why I maybe decided to come here, because, they're a good team in this league, but they also have, the backing from Spain and then other clubs around the world. So yeah, I just felt that if I did well and I was consistent for, however long I'm here, then, an opportunity may present itself at a slightly higher level.
Ollie, I'm a bit envious of you. Not because you're handsome, not because you're the Players' Player of the Year, and not because you're a bit more technical than me. Actually, a lot more technical than me.
All these compliments.
I'm jealous and envious of you because you get to play next to Noah Verhoeven. Tell me what that's been like, and tell NV I said I love him. Give him a kiss right on the forehead.
Yeah, I will. No, he's a good guy, first of all. I've got along really well with him as soon as he, walked in through the door. But yeah, he's always a player that I've rated in the league. I think he's very good on the ball. And I actually think he's going to be a very important player for us kind of in possession this year. He can kind of slow down or speed up a game whenever he likes. And yeah, he's very hard to take the ball off in training. But yeah, I think in games you see his quality. He's got a fantastic left foot. He's got a great range of passing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing alongside him this year.
He learned all that from Jordan. I mean, this is not a surprise.
My Christmas list, Mama.
Yeah.
You're my Christmas list.
All of that, check. That has Jordan Wilson all over that.
So funny.
But before we let you go, Ollie, we know that coming up, obviously, is the Canadian Championship, and that's another tournament a lot of CPL teams, I know, have on their radar. And every year we ask, is this the year a CPL team, can be crowned Canadian champions? We've already seen a CPL team defeat an MLS side. But could this be the year an MLS team gets dethroned? What are the goals for Atlético Ottawa when it comes to the Canadian Championship?
Yeah, I think, we want to do well in this competition. I think, like you said, no CPL team has won the cup yet, sorry. But yeah, I don't see why not. This year could be the year that maybe a CPL team can go all the way. But yeah, I think it's important for us to do well in the competition. I think the club wants any chance that they can get to win some silverware. And then, of course, it gives you another chance to qualify for the Champions League. And that's kind of where we've said that we want to be by the end of the year. So, yeah, we'll look to, do as best we can in the league, in the cup, and get as far in it as possible.
All right, we'll look forward to that nice rematch as well against Halifax in round 1. Ollie, appreciate you taking the time here on OneNation.
Good luck, brother.
Great, thank you, Jordan.
Great having Ollie on. Let's continue with the topic of the Canadian Championship, because I'm wondering if there's a matchup that intrigues you most. It all gets started right here on One Soccer. I know the matchup that intrigues me.
I feel like our matchups are the same.
Are they? Do you think?
You want to say it at the same time? So how are we going to do this? 3, 2, 1, and then say it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Pacific. CF Montreal. Oh. Nope, we were off.
So you go first. That is crazy. I thought for sure by a landslide. Come, talk to me. Ladies first.
Well, to me, Montreal, Vaughan-derers, no?
I mean...
No?
I feel like the Vaughan is really in Halifax right now, like that core, like the best guys.
Okay, but see, I'll tell you why I'm intrigued, because we've only ever really known Vancouver to struggle as the MLS side
I see what you're
in the
doing.
Canadian
Okay.
Championship. CF Montreal has a horrible record right now in MLS. They're, 1 win, 6 losses. It's not like they've even been picking up draws and picking up points here and there.
Yeah.
And you're right, a lot of Vaughan-derers have moved to Halifax. But Vaughan-derers, and I know, okay, fine, you're looking back at 2019, but they became the first semi-pro team to beat a pro team in the Canadian Championship. Remember when it was still 2 legs? Even though they had lost the first game to Halifax, they beat them 1-0 the second one. It was too little too late, right? Halifax still moved on aggregate. But this is a team that has shown that they can perform. And this is a team that's just had really good years the last few years in League One Ontario. I don't know.
Oh, I hear you.
I'm
And
just-
Alistair
I'm
Johnson played in that
intrigued.
game as well.
Alistair Johnson, I mean, there's a lot of guys who have come through the pipeline with Vaughan-derers, but I just think it has more to, and I don't want to take away from Vaughan, because you're right. I mean, again, they've had a lot of players move on. But I think it has a lot to do with maybe CF Montreal's play. I say I'm intrigued by this.
I like it. I like your take. I feel that it should be a win for CF Montreal. But if there was a time for upset, it is definitely now. But it should be a comfortable win. And I say this, no disrespect to Vaughan, but I've seen them play recently, and there are some talented players. But I know that they play a certain way. They're not going to go and park the bus and try to defend.
No.
They're going to want to go. So when you play a professional side like that, or a team that's better than you, corners, all these that moment, that little inch that they need, they should score.
And listen, that's fine. Everything you're saying is fine. They may lose, but it still intrigues me.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, so what intrigues you that Pacific?
Pacific Calvary. I thought we were both going to say it together, like sing Pacific, harmonize, but it didn't happen. You're like, Montreal. I'm like, all right. Pacific Calvary, because these two teams, however you spin it, should be top 4.
Yeah.
And off of quality, will probably be. But they have to play each other twice. They play each other Thursday, then they have to play each other Sunday as well. I know what that's like as well from last season. We have to play Pacific in the league and then play them in CanChamps in the quarterfinals. But this is basically to say who's going to be one of the big dogs in the league. Like, can Pacific go and beat Calvary? I would say Calvary really had a great game this past weekend. They looked polished. They looked ready to go. I will also say their depth, though, might be an issue. And both these teams is probably the same thing. They have about 13 ready guys, 14. Yeah. So it's just what that looks like after you just played 3 days ago.
Speaking of Canadian, 2 quick topics here on the Canadian national teams. The Gold Cup draw happened, and we know that Canada is in a pretty favorable group here. And you know what, Jordo? I don't have any fear anymore when I
am not afraid.
This is the thing, because it's like there's this, is there the potential of like facing Jamaica, Mexico, USA? You keep looking at that path. And isn't that the attitude right now? Bring them.
Bring it on.
Who cares? I don't care anymore.
Bring it on. Canada plays their best, they're winning. Bring it on.
Yeah. I
I'm
feel
not worried.
that way too.
Look at my hand, steady.
And it's not that you want to get cocky, because Lord knows John Herdman sits there and he's coming up with every type of tactic that he can. The players also understand, because they have made it perfectly clear. They have shared with us their goals to get hardware. This is numero uno, hardware that they can get. So they're not walking into this with any kind of cocky swagger. They're walking it into it with a confident swagger.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like it doesn't matter anymore. But what about I don't care.
Yeah, there's a difference between being cocky and having belief. I think there's belief within the squad. So I'm not really too worried about who they might play.
No, and you can't think of that. And I think if you're the players as well, if you're the Canadian, you can't think about that. You just need to go out and also tell yourself, we've beaten them before.
Yes.
We know how we match up against them. We know who we are. And off you go. Very excited. Very, very excited.
You and I both. There was a move in the women's national team.
There was a move. Oh, by the way, I should correct myself. Okay. Gold Cup could be second, because remember, Nations League.
That's first.
That's first. That's first, right? So they actually play that first. Then the Gold Cup. Imagine another little hardware. Wouldn't that be sweet? Big move. Adriana Leon. We've been saying this. She needs minutes. And she wasn't getting them with Manchester United. So now she's made the move to Portland Thorns.
I like it. But look, it's not every day where you're someone who might have been coming off the bench for your national team, and now you're looked at like, hey, you're probably most likely going to be a starter. But outside of that, you're going to be someone that needs to come with product. So she needs to be playing. She needs to be in form. I believe in this girl. I know she can play. She just has to play in the confident sector of her life. Like, not the, hey, I might want to make something happen. Play up there.
And you know what? I think she can. She was scoring in the fall, winter for the Canadian national team. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when your pro team minutes kind of dipped, her productivity for the national team dipped. Great show, my friend.
Thank
Let's
you.
do it next time on OneNation.